Finally, I'm going to go ahead and start my local backup too. Hopefully my computer does not die under the tremendous load. Hello! Hi everybody. Welcome to the Yang Gang Roundtable, an ongoing conversation on poverty, basic income, and electoral politics. Today is Sunday, May 3rd. I'm here with Ariel, Elizabeth, Faye D, Mia, Moto, and Zach. My name is Shael, and we are going to have our moderated discussion on 3 topics that are in the news right now that relate to our core areas of focus. So what I'm going to do right now is pull up those topics. How's everybody feeling today?
Pretty good.
Good.
Uncertain.
Good?
Trepidatiously excited.
Bad.
Excellent. Do you guys feel like introducing yourselves?
Do you have it automated now? Or
What do
is
you
it
mean?
Like, no, because last time you had like a recording. Is it a recording to just do it? But
A recording? I never had a recording of you guys.
introducing ourselves.
No, I mean we could.
Oh.
It seems like it's better not to do it canned.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then, okay. Then in that case, I'll just start. I'm
Okay.
Ariel, and my Twitter handle is at Ariels_Armada. That's ARIELS_ARMADA. And I have a YouTube channel, Revolutionary Thinking.
Elizabeth?
Hey, it's Elizabeth, the Wandering Unicorn, or at Unicorn36902 on Twitter. I have a YouTube. It's the same name, The Wandering Unicorn, and right now it's me reading Harry Potter chapters.
Nice. Faye D.
Hello, my name is Faye, and my Twitter handle is Tisdoney, TISDONEY.
Thank you. Mia.
My name is Mia. It's at MEASONGBIRD on Twitter, and that's at Mia Songbird. Follow me anytime.
Moto.
Hi, I'm Moto. If you care to follow me, I am at MOTO_MOTES. That's Moto Motes on Twitter. And, I am Shael's illustrious DM, as he introduced me last time.
That is true. You are my DM, my dungeon master for many, many years. All right. Zach.
And my name is Zach. You can follow me on Twitter, ZACH_Sacker, SACHER. You can also follow me on YouTube. I have my own channel. It's the Liberal Conservative Report. And real quick, Elizabeth, remind me to include your channel in our new Yang Gang Roundtable YouTube channel. I'm listing everyone's personal channels in there, so send me like a direct message with your channel name, and I will include it.
Thank you, Zach. And you cut out when you were saying the name of your own channel, which is the Liberal Conservative Report on YouTube. So thank you. I'm going to read the format now. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak on each topic. If you'd like to respond to another speaker during their time, type R in the chat, and I will call on you to make a 30-second response when they are finished. You will have time to expound on each topic during the informal discussion, which will follow the roundtable. Unless you are in a silent environment, please keep your mic muted when you are not speaking. So I will begin now with our first topic. There they are. Speaker Pelosi has begrudgingly admitted it may be time to consider a guaranteed minimum income. What kind of exclusionary means testing, if any, is Pelosi likely to attach to such a minimum income based on her ideology and record? We will begin with you, Ariel.
Well, there's a certain word, and it's called lip service. So, how do we make sure that what Nancy Pelosi is saying isn't just lip service, that, just because she said it and we're all happy, but what's actually going to happen in reality? It's just like when, a kid says, yeah, mom or dad, I'm going to do the dishes and clean up my room, and then the parents come home and the dishes are still dirty and the room isn't clean. So we just have to see if what is actually being proposed and get into the weeds, because the devil is in the details. If we don't get into the weeds and we don't get into the details, we're just going to take someone's word for it, then we won't really know what they're talking about. So show us, don't just tell us, show us. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Ariel. Elizabeth.
I was really glad to see her say that. And correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, but it did go through the House and it got shot down again in the Senate this time. So she did let that go through, if I saw right. Which is good. She was the first big hurdle to us getting anything through that I saw, was that she wasn't going to pass anything without gatekeeping. So it's really comforting to see that she was willing to do that.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm not sure myself about that question. I'm sure we'll figure it out as the show goes on. Faye D.
So I don't know much about Nancy Pelosi and what she's saying, so I'm just going to be honest about that. But as far as means testing, I think it's evolving right now, so as long as we help it evolve into something eventually that is useful for everybody, that would be good. But we just need a first draft out there that exists so that we can build upon it and really, contribute more to it. But as far as like anybody suggesting it, I do think there should be accountability to make sure that it's not just lip service. Yeah.
Thank you, Faye. We'll move on to you, Mia.
Oh, well, she did just say support for a basic income. She didn't say anything necessarily about being universal. I think that's where the spirit of what the question here is probably about. And if that's what we're going for, I think that it's probably likely they'd probably start with where they tried to start with the stimulus bill, which was probably $75K or lower with a scaling back. That would be where I guess they would start. That seems like it's already a past hurdle, so they're not very ambitious. They'd probably go with something they saw as successful once already.
I think that's a good guess, and it's good to be vigilant against that. Moto.
Yeah, I hadn't really heard anything beyond her kind of initial trial balloon talking about that it might be time for it. My general impression is anyone kind of just talking out loud about that isn't probably super serious yet. It'd be cool if she were wrong, but I'm guessing given her overall track record, it doesn't really fit in line with her whole pay-go philosophy. And if she did do it, I imagine it would be on a temporary basis and means tested within and probably phased out as you go up the income chain rather than a prepayment.
Thank you. And Zach?
Hey, sorry, having some mic issues here. I think it's good now. But yeah, I kind of agree with basically what everyone said here, especially what Mia was just saying. Probably there'll be some kind of threshold, probably around 75,000, where it will start fading out. In addition, the one thing I'd add, I also bet there's some kind of like threshold on the low scale too, where like if you're just not working, you might not get the benefit. I could see you're trying to pitch this as something that moderate Democrats and even Republicans could sign on to, and it will be less in the universal image and more of like a means tested program that just gives benefits to workers and not to the rich.
Zach, you are still having some mic problems. We got some of what you were saying.
All right, I'm going to switch mics. I got another one. It's just uncomfortable, but I'll go to the other.
Okay. If you want to, you can give your response to that again later on in the show. For now, while you switch mics, we're going to move on to our second topic, and that is there is an impending meat shortage. What are your thoughts? That's simple. So there is this impending meat shortage. Let's go with you, Ariel.
I don't really care. Well, I don't know. It's like I don't eat beef.
But think about the socioeconomic impact and implications,
Right. Yeah. So if there's a meat shortage, I guess people will just have to get used to vegetables. but the thing is that I eat kosher. I don't eat any pork. So I guess the workers would be, I don't know, out of a job, or it is the reason there's a shortage directly related to the coronavirus, or is it some other
people in processing plants getting sick?
Oh, okay. So I guess there's no shortage of the animals. There's just a shortage of the people who process it. So wait until, I don't know, we find a vaccine or something. I mean, I'm not really passionate about this subject. So I'll just say that just eat less meat and try to enjoy a little bit more pizza. I don't know.
Okay. I mean, we're trying to tie it into poverty, basic income, and electoral politics, but I hear you. Let's move on to you, Elizabeth.
So, before I forget, one thing about it being it not being a shortage of animals, but it being a shortage of processing power means that a lot of the animals raised for slaughter are going to be and are already being slaughtered without being processed, without being used. So it's a giant waste of livestock and animal life for people who are more worried about that than having access to meat. So there is that. It's not going to impact us much because we're not eating a good enough diet that a lack of access to protein is going to have a strong impact on it, which kind of sucks, but is kind of good in this instance. But we also can't just get used to vegetables because my fiance's gut, if he has, it used to be any, but he's slowly getting readjusted to it, so it's just too much. He'll bleed. He has a fair number of problems in his lower intestinal tract that are not compatible with eating anything fibrous.
Oh no!
So
yeah, that's tough.
Yeah,
what
so
does he normally eat?
Carbs.
Carbs. Well,
Lots
pasta
of
for days, I guess.
just simple carbohydrates, which is why we're not on a complex enough diet that this is going to have a strong impact. But it's going to have a really big negative impact on the industry, which is a concern, and a strong one. People do actually need protein, and not like I know an all vegetarian vegan diet that does work really well for some people, but different people have different dietary needs, and not having access to meat is a problem for some people.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Let's move on to you, Faye.
All right. So this topic had come up earlier for me yesterday. And one of the things that came up really kind of made me think because the restaurants that bought the meat are not really buying it like they did, right? The demand has shifted where it's at. But people in their own homes, like, they don't actually have the space to raise an animal like that. But a lot of people do desire to have their own farm and stuff. And I think in a longer term, maybe it could transition into a way that we start raising our own animals so that, one, we're connected to the life that it is a living creature. But I think it would also help us learn how to better take care of ourselves, even if it's just like a community thing. But I think overall, we just need to shift into being a little more ethical about it. And I think it could really impact the jobs people have. But I think if we could evolve what types of jobs it is, we could save a lot of innocent animal lives as well. And I don't know, help people's dreams become a reality as well.
It seems like it's an opportunity for Impossible Meat and other meat substitutes to at least gain some ground, if nothing else. Let's move on to you, Mia. Thank you, Faye.
I was actually going to say that it would probably be a good time if I had the money to invest in Impossible Meats or Beyond Meat or any of that kind of stock. One of the big reasons I can't, obviously, is because we don't have an income in our household as caregivers, and that makes it a little hard to think forward like that.
Thank you, Mia. Let's move on to you, Moto.
So I guess my first instinct, beyond what people have talked about so far, is if you think people aren't handling staying inside very well, I can't imagine the chaos that's going to be caused by good meat-eating Americans not getting their normal dietary regime. I think you could see some really serious social repercussions from it, even if that sounds a little bit silly right now. The other thing I would be worried about is because these are essentially problems with outbreaks in meat processing plants, we can't say for sure that it won't also affect vegetable processing, and especially like frozen foods and other vegetable products that are prepared in factories. I would assume they're vulnerable to many of the same issues, if only somewhat less so.
Some good insight. Thank you, Moto. And finally, Zach, are you back? Zach.
Can you hear me?
All right.
You can hear me now?
Have you got your mic going?
Yeah.
All right, great. Do you need me to repeat the question?
No, we're good. I think it was actually my VPN.
Your volume is very low.
Am
You might want to just go into your settings real quick.
Still hard to hear?
A little bit.
It's just quiet compared to all the other
if you could
people's
just turn your
volumes.
gain up a little bit in your settings, or go to your settings and go to automatically adjust volume, and it'll just automatically fix it for you. Since you switched mics and Discord might not exactly know to adjust the volume.
All right, how about now?
That's a bit better.
Is that a little better?
That's a bit better. We'll go with that. Okay, so
well, I want to bring up a tweet that Tim Pool made about a week or two ago that was kind of on the subject. And Tim Pool is somebody who I kind of respect, and I do enjoy his work, but this tweet was just so wrong. And it's kind of a argument that I think we're going to start hearing more and more due to these meat shortages. The tweet went something like this, and I'm kind of paraphrasing. A friend of mine needed money so she can go get a gallon of milk. She had no money, so I gave her $5 to keep the change. She went to the store, but there was no milk. She came back. She gave me back the money. This is what Blue Hat Twitter doesn't seem to understand about giving money to Blue Hat Twitter, of course, referring to the Yang Gang. On Twitter, we all have blue hats now. Point is that he's trying to make is it doesn't matter if you give money to people because there's food shortages. People aren't going to be able to buy food. But what he's not getting is that the problem is that his friend didn't have money. It's not that she didn't have food. I mean, if she didn't have food, there were other things in the store she could have bought besides the milk. But if she doesn't have money for milk, she also doesn't have money for rent or to keep the heat on or to keep the lights on, So, I mean, the point of UBI is really to help you pay for whatever it is that you need to pay for. And money being a finite resource, you're usually being forced to decide from paying for rent or paying for food or paying for something else. It just alleviates that need to choose one necessity over another. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that tweet up.
all right, we got a good bit of what you were saying, but I'm afraid that your audio issues seem to not be your microphone. It's probably bandwidth because you're cutting out quite a lot. So I say use whichever microphone is more comfortable for you, and we'll have to figure that bandwidth issue out some way somehow. But thank you, Zach. Sorry you're having some mic troubles still. We're going to move on to the third and final question before we have a nice open discussion. And it is similarly simple and open-ended. Andrew Yang sues the state of New York for canceling its primary. What are your thoughts? That's pretty significant, huh? Shall we begin this time? Zach. All right, so Zach is just going to fix his PC. This time, let's begin with you, Moto.
I guess I'm a little bit surprised. It seemed like Yang was settling into kind of a play ball kind of attitude after his endorsement of Biden. I guess it might be a matter of principle, and/or maybe he's hoping to reap some delegates or help Bernie reap some delegates in New York. It's definitely a bad precedent to cancel a primary, especially with people being afraid that Trump might do it in November. As hard as that would be, since he would have to essentially bully every single state into complying. But generally speaking, it seems kind of like a power play by the DNC, and I'm glad to see Yang resisting it in any way he can.
Thank you, Moto. It's good to get a more outside perspective. So appreciate that. Let's go with you, Mia, for a more inside perspective.
I think that one of the things that was mentioned there when Yang was talking about it was the down ballot candidates who aren't going to get an opportunity to be voted for. Didn't we have a few UBI caucus members that were running in New York too? I mean, even if they weren't contend,
Yes,
they have a right to be
do.
voted
It's very
for.
important. Yes, there's James Felton Keith off the top of my head, and there are, I believe, 2 others.
So yeah, several UBI caucus members were directly affected by the canceling and will be directly affected by it. So yeah, I can absolutely see why he would support that, and it's absolutely important to make sure that our local officials are also elected too, duly.
It's a great point. Thank you. Did you have anything else, or were you done, Mia?
I'm done there.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to you, Faye.
I think it's important that we have people who have more voice to stand up and make people stay accountable for what they're deciding to do. And I think it is a great role model for us to make sure that we don't allow a imbalance of power that could happen from something like this.
Thank you very much, Faye. Elizabeth.
I think it was an incredibly ballsy thing to do. I think it's frustrating that the Democrats seem to have decided that since since Biden's the presumptive nominee, that it's everybody's time to rally around him. We don't need any more opinions about him, no more criticism. That's bullshit. I think suing them was the right move, and aside from that, I think it was a great way to grab the national spotlight at a time he's already got a solid handhold on it for economic reasons.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And finally, Ariel.
Yeah, I do think it was the right thing to do because that's terrible. Oh, and another UBI caucus candidate in New York is Luigi Gayotte. I remember that guy. And yeah, it's the thing is that didn't they put time, energy, and effort and hard work these down ballot candidates in New York? So why just have that go all to waste? It's like they probably paid to be on those ballots. They have staff. They have they put things together. Like they put like yeah, that's not fair. That's just not fair. If okay, well, you want to say that like Biden is the presumptive nominee, go ahead. But why get them in trouble for it when people can also vote from home? So I don't know. So is the primary the only time that these people can get voted for? So if that's just being restricted, then that's just against democracy as a whole,
Thank you. I believe Moto has a reply for Ariel.
Yeah, the down ballot primary is still happening. I think the argument, though, is that when you have a presidential candidates on the top of the ticket, people are more likely to turn up and vote, and you're more likely to mobilize your followers to turn up for you and vote for those down ballot candidates. But it is still happening, and it's not quite clear how. At least I'm not clear how they're doing it, if it's going to be by mail or whatnot. But it also makes it kind of suspicious that they're only canceling the presidential primary. So,
thank you.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So Zach is back. Zach, would you like to take a crack at answering this question from your phone?
Yeah.
You sound much better now.
All right, great. For some reason, it's only Discord I have issues with. But anyway, I did miss most of what people said in here already, so hopefully I'm not repeating anybody. But I'll just say, one, it's definitely wrong for New York to cancel the primary. But unfortunately, I'm a little bit skeptical of Yang's ability to be successful suing because the Constitution doesn't say anything about political party, about party. No, this was an actual election. Like if they were canceling the general election, then yeah, there would be a constitutional infringement there. But being that this is just a party matter, I mean, technically Republicans and the Democrats, they don't need to have. There's nothing in the Constitution saying that the candidates for higher office to be decided by a vote. I mean, you can have perfectly legal to have like a lot of third parties out. People don't actually directly vote on. Like I think the American Communist Party or whatever, their candidates is somebody selected by a smaller group of people. Could be wrong in that, but I don't know. I just don't really see it going well for. Hopefully, I'm wrong. That's fine.
All right, thank you very much, Zach. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but you're still having some microphone issues. I think you've done all you can. We're just going to have to try to stick it out for this episode. It just might be a bandwidth thing. So with that, we're going to go ahead and transition into the open discussion. And earlier today, Moto mentioned offhand that he thinks a big wave of austerity following this one big stimulus, which was just an aberration, is coming. So I thought that might be a good jumping off point for our open discussion today.
Well, I'd like to hear that expanded upon from Moto, so that way we know exactly what he's talking about when he's referring to that.
Oh, and Moto, you might pull back a little bit from your mic. I'm hearing a lot of plosives, a lot of P sounds and stuff. Just make me a little bit further from your lips. Not to nitpick. Thank you. Being a producer here.
Yeah, I've got a headset on, so there's hopefully.
Yeah, I could tell.
A couple of centimeters at best, but
makes all the difference.
Yeah, my concern right now is that states, and I've been following mostly New York, but I'm pretty sure we're not unique in this regard, are already talking about bankruptcy, cutting back, and that's going to probably be a precursor for austerity on the state level. Now, the big question is, will the federal government step in and fill the hole in the state budgets? I have a hard time imagining that happening right now. I can see it happening maybe if they see no other recourse. But you've got Biden, who is really kind of known for austerity, being an austerity Democrat on the one hand, and you have Trump, who, while he may not be an austerity guy himself, is still part of the Republican Party. And
Can you define that word for me, please?
Oh, which austerity?
Yeah.
That basically means just cutting things down as much as possible. In the federal sense, it's just scaling back programs. It's kind of been a key feature of the neoliberal era. If you look over across the pond at the UK, they actually had a more vicious cycle of austerity than we did, even, and that kind of gave rise to a lot of the politics that they had over there. But it looks like that might be coming to an end with the COVID crisis. Even the Tories are talking about increasing spending and renationalizing. The other possibility, and this is where you might get something like UBI, would be if we move to more of a state capitalist system wherein we try to keep things running just by having the government be a spender of last resort. I think there'll be a lot of resistance to that. The question will really be how much pushback is the populace willing to give, and whatever resistance there is to whoever takes over the government in November. But anyway, I've been rambling, so.
I mean, what's kind of frustrating about that politically to me is it seems like for all Trump's party is more generally frugal. Between him and Biden, he seems more likely to be willing to throw money at the problem. And that is kind of the solution that we need right now. And I hate that.
No, I mean, it's not an unreasonable conclusion. It's it's really not looking great on both ends, but you can just as easily make an argument that Trump will be more likely to do it than Biden.
Trump would be more likely to do it if it were immediately appeasing people. However, he's also he's way more likely to pull back after the fact because he does not give a shit. So once the crisis is over enough that the thing is band-aided and he can lay claim to having fixed the economy, he would immediately pull back everything he'd offered without any remorse.
The thing is, I do absolutely agree with Yang, and I'm kind of seeing it with people getting their stimulus already, that once people get that money, it's I don't know how much it's going to matter that someone wants to take it away. If enough people, and I'm pretty sure they would, react with, no, that's mine now, and I would like to keep it. I think it's harder to take that away than it is to give it out.
I think that's why it was so important that they only gave it out once, because they didn't want to establish a pattern. So hopefully there'll be another one.
Yeah. I mean, people should be clamoring for it right now. But it's interesting how to see that not even... I mean, I believe that people should have an economic floor, but damn, Mitch McConnell doesn't even believe that, like, a whole state government should have an economic... So, like, he's so
a garbage
craven.
turtle.
He's he's probably like a turtle from hell. You know, like, and I mean, he's like a welfare queen himself, because he's getting paid to literally do nothing. So if there's anybody who deserves to be destitute and like sent on a rocket ship to the far reaches of the galaxy and freeze to death, it's him, because he's completely worthless. I don't know. Our system works in very strange ways that make zero sense. Just bring in money. We'll be free.
Trump is certainly not an ideologue, you know. I mean,
No, I think if he could be convinced that giving money to people would make him immediately ridiculously popular, because it would, he'd do it.
Exactly. I mean,
I don't think
this,
Biden would. People have been begging him this entire time. Come on board with this idea. Come on board with this idea. He's even more reluctant than Bernie.
Even before this, Trump was talking about infrastructure. You know, building bridges and roads and stuff, which generally an idea that the left is in favor of. I mean, it used to be a bipartisan issue way back in the international highway system was created under Eisenhower, but over time it kind of fell out of favor. Right? Trump is somewhat bringing that idea back, although a lot of the party for it. Mitch McConnell is not for infrastructure spend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for McConnell, why he's a fan of states going bankrupt is that he wants pensions to get wiped out, and that's going to be one of the main casualties, state pensions for government workers and the relatively few people who still have them. Once they're destabilized, you know, that can be privatized, and that's really kind of his wheelhouse as far as his agenda goes. After that, you might see a pivot, but I think McConnell in general is kind of, his style of republicanism is on the wane. They still are more or less in charge of the party and can kind of hold Trump back. But
you know, yeah, but I always thought, like, if Trump becomes president, like, he's not doing it for the money. He's just doing it for his ego. So he wouldn't mind to just give away money if it meant that he could have an ego boost. Seriously. I mean, he wrote his name. I mean, I have it right next to me on the thing. And, like, just imagine if everybody in the country writes him a letter back asking him for more. He'd do it.
I feel like I'm the only one who hasn't gotten their stimulus check.
That is a good letter campaign idea. Everybody writes thank you notes to Trump. For real?
No, but say like, why are you stopping it? And then you know, like, make him feel like say thanks, but it's not enough. Like, just like give us more for the duration of the crisis. If like Yang Gang all wrote him that letter in unison,
informal gold print lettering.
Yes.
Okay. We can even trend
to the honorable Trump. We need more.
Thing is I believe Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer would immediately shoot down any bill that had Trump bucks in the language.
It's frustrating that you're right. Like, as soon as he even came out for any sort of check, Pelosi and Schumer immediately argued against it, and it seemed like it was just because he was for it, which is
It's like, you know, parents who get a divorce and they make their kids' lives a living hell. Kids' life, their kids have nothing to do with it. It's like they want you want to hurt somebody just so you can hurt somebody else, and that somebody gets stuck in the middle of the freaking crossfire. And this is what these bastards have been doing for the past, years and years and
Well,
years.
and it's frustrating, and it's frustrating enough when it keeps to political issues, but like during this whole mess, it's like it generally bleeds over to real life issues, but right now it's bleeding over into how people are reacting to the stay-at-home orders. I live in Two Purple area for that. There's a whole bunch of people just wandering around without masks or any sort of social distancing, and they live in a different world.
The nature of freaking people, like just selfish bastards. I don't know. They attach to ideology more than like reality and common sense, and their ideology becomes their identity. It's not even like, oh, they think this is right. It's like, I am these talking points. Like, that is my life. My life is
for a lot of people that happens because their life is shit, and that gives them some sort of way to reframe it to make it something else.
Right. Like that, they're not good at parenting. They're not good at like being a good neighbor.
So I don't think the solution to reaching them is attacking them. I think it's to attack the problems hurting them and help lift them up with us without name calling or deriding them or any of that.
I guess it just makes me frustrated. It's like the solutions are there and people can be happier and things can be better, but this attachment to ideology is so toxic. So we can just
and that's on both sides.
Steel man their arguments.
I don't think the average person is terribly ideological. I think they have a lot of contradictions in their beliefs that are confusing for people who actually do have ideology, because I think ideological people try to be consistent in their behavior, whereas your average person just doesn't really care.
Well, the thing is that when they're doing that and they're not wearing masks and they're like going out and like doing those protests, that's because it's like Daddy Trump told us and he is our Messiah.
No, and, for a lot of them, it's that they have businesses that are closing and jobs that they've lost and homes that they're losing, and like they're in as bad a financial straits as most of the people on this podcast, and they don't have they're not Yang Gang. They don't see a path to a future that's attainable for them. They're hurt and desperate.
You know what? I just want to say real quick, they're not
what?
Yang yet.
They're not Yang Gang yet. No, that is fucking accurate, because the people around me that I've been able to like talk Yang to, they are so easy to flip.
Yeah.
Because this is a purple area. It's mostly like libertarian centrists. It's honey for them if I can just get them to listen.
We have a guest.
Hello.
Karma credits.
Oh, that's weird.
Oh, is that Jack?
That's his name?
Like it. Hello, Karma Credits. You are a little bit early. No, I guess you're about on time. Where has the time gone? Oh, no problem at all. Is it 4:57? All right. So yeah, I guess you were coming on at 5.
I can jump out.
Oh no! You're welcome to stay. Welcome. It's just that. Hi, my name's Shael. I'm the producer of the show. Jeremy really set up having you on the show, and I'm not really sure exactly.
Are you the person with time banking?
Yeah, he's the Karma Credits creator, the cryptocurrency that. Well, I mean, like.
That I've made contact with on Twitter and haven't been able to do anything else with yet because the other things happening.
I had Jack credits on my show. Jack, Zach here. We talked about 2 weeks ago.
Jack and Zach show.
Yeah. That was a good one. I got some good feedback.
So, Jack, we're having just an open discussion on. Oh, Ariel.
There's a lot of interference on the line somewhere.
Oh, Ariel, please mute your mic. That is you making that rustling, man. Thank you. Sorry. So we're having an open discussion on poverty, basic income, and electoral politics. And you are welcome to join in and speak about anything you would like to, anything on your mind, and you're welcome to speak about Karma Credits. So, yeah.
I'm definitely in the support of basic income. One of the things that we've sort of gone through in Karma Credits is the idea that sometimes, like universal basic income is the idea that everyone should be able to earn it. And sometimes people point out that, well, if everyone can earn it, sort of so can like rich people. And some Yang members have come back and said, well, if we put the money in the hands of the people, sometimes the rich people will earn it, but a lot of times they'll donate it. A lot of times they'll do good things with it. And we're not behind the idea that people will do good things. If someone that's rich or well off can earn karma credits just like everybody else, we're saying that they're doing that by doing a good deed. So as long as the good deed is being done for other people, that's all we care about. So that's sort of like a way that I've thought about universal basic income. It ties into a little bit, but definitely support it. And some people have offered karma credits for, I think Cesar Marquez offered I think he said offer 10 karma credits a phone call to call your representative to advocate for universal basic income. It's just to put money into people's hands, and I think it's a really kind thing to be able to put money directly in people's hands that really need it right now. And so that's one way we can be an ally. We're definitely just looking for allies and looking to the community, and the Yang Gang's been a great community to just talk to about this idea.
I wanted to touch on something there quick on the topic of philanthropy, because I've mentioned that locally my job converted half of the employees that they were able to keep to doing food for kids at dinner time. They were able to do that because a couple people in our area that are doing very well funded that. That wasn't an existing program. They're not using any funds because they had already because they didn't have any. People locally, when this crisis hit, enabled that. And I agree with people that people that are going to become rich off of things, it does matter that we have people doing better, because sometimes we do need people to help in a crisis. And they will donate.
It's been amazing. This crisis has been really, really hard for a lot of people. A lot of people have lost their jobs. But we've also seen the greatest outpouring of charity that I've seen in my lifetime in a concentrated 2-month span. People in a number of organizations that are going forward to help people and make sure people are all right. We're sort of a currency. We like to call ourselves a currency backed by the goodness of humanity, and it's built on trust that humanity is getting. We're going to show how good humanity is by sort of measuring that and helping the people get rewarded for their good deeds. And I was actually listening on the podcast, the Roundtable podcast last month, and I think Jeremy or a couple of people were talking about sort of changing the incentives, just like Andrew Yang talked about, and changes the incentives in the economy. Well, if we change the incentives, and they talked about sort of environmental awareness or lifting people up out of poverty, have that be an incentive. And if we incentivize good things and kind things and recognize that incentives don't always have to be there, but are really good to help people react and build things, that can be a really great thing. So just working with sort of all the ideas that are flowing out there and trying to make a society better just a little bit.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Please.
Okay. So, I mean, would you say it's safe to call it social currency?
Definitely.
Okay. So how effective is karma credits right now? How is it still in its infancy, or is it where are you guys at with what you have available?
Definitely. Where we're at, we have about a little bit of 300 people in our social handle community across Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. The success, we really only measure the success of the currency by the increased number of good deeds that are being done. So what I mean by that is a lot of community members have offered karma credits for doing good deeds. And someone offered, I think Daniel Durant offered, if you go and like this carbon emissions reducing charity's Instagram, I'll give you karma credits. If you go, again, I mentioned Caesar, he actually got 3 or 4 people to call and email the representatives that might not otherwise did. To get the karma credits. So they went and did that. The first store, this is a huge landmark thing we never expected to happen this soon, but the first store in existence accepted karma credits as payment for a jewelry she made. A necklace and earrings were purchased with karma credits, and she did a nice thing by preparing that and sending it off to the person and said, I really believe in this. We have had community members go and advocate to their neighbors, their friends that we've worked with. We're working with the organization in Africa that is promoting social justice and education, and it's amazing. When I sort of had this idea, I thought, doing kind things for each other. I thought people would be selfish. I thought people would say, well, if you do this for me, I'll do this for you. Well, it's been an outpouring of generosity, because we've had people say, I'm going to offer credits for donating to food banks, for delivering groceries to people in need, which actually is something we rewarded Caesar Marquez for doing. I want to offer if you care for a sick pet. So we've had actually people offer, and people have been, we've seen an increase in good deeds from that. And when I started this, I just wanted to measure our success by the increase of good deeds we can produce. And so in that way, after we've been successful, and we've seen sort of a steady growth. It comes in waves or sort of things that are happening, but it's definitely promising. We've been around since January so far. I didn't know anybody on Twitter. I basically invited my friends and family on Facebook, about 20 people. And the Yang Gang community especially has taken this to heart and really grown the community up so far. And it's great because all of our social media handle people that are following us on Facebook. They're not like sort of fake accounts, bot accounts. They're real people that are interacting with us. They're real, every single one of them, which is really great. And we just engage. The more engagement and the more sort of good deeds that are being done just because of our existence is what we're really proud of.
How do you do you have to buy the credits in order to give them out, or how does that work?
So the way you earn the credits is by doing kind things for other people. So for example, we rewarded Caesar by delivering food for people in need. If you go and sort of grow our community by we've been giving out just for telling people about organizations that can help the outpouring of good deeds. We've been giving people 100 karma credits for the podcast we've been on, but also we've been people you can earn from anyone in the community, not just from me or the founder or the social media. You can earn it from anybody there's a karma list. So a great way to know how you can earn karma credits is to go into our interaction page. And you look at the karma list of what you can do for people that are kind things. I think Daniel had on, if you go and like this, climate change activist Instagram page that helps get the word and convince people to reduce their carbon emissions. You can earn karma credits from him. Again, donating to food banks or just different things. And imagine that it's up to your imagination. It's not just things on a karma list. If you just go up to one of our members of the community or me and say, I did this kind thing, just letting you know, and we'll send you karma credits. So it's really just about doing kind things for other people is how you earn them. And the great thing about it is it's karma, right? So once you earn the karma credits, people from all over the world or people will start doing kind things for you as a reward to earn the karma credits for you, but also as a reward for you doing the kind things for other people. And they'll get earn the karma credits from doing that, which will help them, people do kind things for them. So it's really paying it forward in the sense of you're doing kind things for other people and sort of you get rewarded. We like to say, we're changing the idea from no good deeds goes unpunished and no good deed goes unrewarded. When you help somebody out on the subway or on the street or anywhere, you're always taking a risk. You're taking time out of your day. You don't really know the full situation, but you try to help, and we're sort of trying to help offset that risk by offering an incentive and a reward to say, we appreciate you doing that good deed. We want to show you love and give you a currency that you can be rewarded for.
It's really similar to the whole concept of how caregivers, mothers who stay at home from work, society doesn't really pay them. One of the arguments for universal basic income. This is kind of like a similar way of monetizing certain things that current market economy doesn't recognize.
Yeah, exactly. It's the idea that why do you have to just earn currency that you can use for other people's goods or services at work? What if you can constantly earn by just doing kind things for other people? What if a homeless person if they held the door open for 10 people, can earn half a karma credit each time? Or what if someone that's struggling with their baby up the stroller with a stroller up the subway stairs? What if you help them and you could? It's the idea that you can. There's no limit to how we can create a new economy. And, Andrew likes to talk about a trickle-up economy. We want to be part of that by offering a trickle-up currency and saying there is no limit to how you can help people and be incentivized to do so. And how do we create a social goods economy where we have social currencies to where you're rewarded for doing social good. That's sort of that aspect of the limitless aspect of it.
It also helps with trade in a sense, as far as Skillshare goes, I need my light bulb changed, but, maybe you would like a cake kind of thing, right?
Yeah. I for the life of me, I think trading good. I think money is good because it's easy to do. But I think trading goods or services is still out of style, and it definitely should be back in style in the sense of I'm offering you 10 karma credits to come fix my light bulb, and I know I'm offering 10 to you because I know you're a electrician. You're really good at that. I might offer 2 to somebody else that doesn't know as much about it, but you can exchange just services, or you can say and once you earn those 10 karma credits, that the other person's good at something else, and they can, or you're good at something else, so you can offer the person something kind for them. And all a good or service is just doing for somebody else, and that's like doing a kind thing. We all have different services we can offer people, but this is a way of I had friends in college that they're really great people that when someone was stuck on the side of the road, they would pull over, they would help a stranger, and they would get their car fixed, and they would drive off. But it's a really great way of rewarding those good people and saying your services are valuable. Just because you're a generous person doesn't mean you don't get rewarded. So that's the idea driving behind that.
Now, Jack, these karma credits, you were telling me this on my show, which was kind of cool. They can be divided many times over, right? So if somebody gives you 2 karma credits for something and you want to pass that on, but you don't necessarily want to give all your credits away, or you can give half, you can give
totally
like a tenth of a karma credit, right? And that
exactly.
could be further divided even.
Totally. So they're divisible up until 18 decimal places. So you can give half a karma credit, a tenth of a karma credit, a thousandth of a karma credit. What we'd like to say is that it really doesn't matter as long as what we're really backed by is the idea of the good deed is being done. If you have 1 karma credit and you decide you want to offer a half a karma credit to someone that's never heard of it and to get them involved, they would be really excited about that. It's the idea that we don't do sort of compulsion where we set the price of a certain good or deed. If you have 2 karma credits and you want to bring it to your family or your friends, you can divide them to tell them about it's 1,000th or 100th, and just share them that way. Or you can earn more to get more karma credits. It's up to every person. We're really sort of backed by trusting our community and trusting the goodness of humanity. So that's
how do you find karma credit? Is it like an app or what is it?
So great question. It sounds complicated. It sounds like cryptocurrency. I never heard of really cryptocurrency in a big way before I started this, but it's just an app. So there's a bunch of apps that accept karma credits. The one we recommend is the most user friendly for the less crypto sort of knowledgeable people, including me, is the Coinbase wallet. But there's a bunch of apps. There's the Engine Wallet app. There's the Trust Wallet app. Coinbase Wallet is like the most user-friendly. All you have to do is just download the app and do a kind person that has karma credits, or kinds of person for a stranger. We've been giving out just lots of free karma credits for people that do things for other people. And then just tell us or tell the person your @username. Mine's @JackMCD. It's all secure. It's a very trusted and secure app. And then you just receive the karma credits. They'll send you the karma credits. It's that simple.
So, okay, do you think there's a way to gamify this for people?
Well, it's great because it's sort of like is a game, right? So we our sort of handle and titles is karma credits, but actually the actual cryptocurrency is called karma points. So we put out 2 leaderboards so far. We wanted the community to say karma points leaderboard, and we did the top 10 community members and sort of how they're ranking against each other. And people were engaged. People said, I want to beat you, I want to get higher on the list. But also they came back to us and said, what, we don't want to know who has earned the most. We want to know who's given the most. So we want to know who's given incentivized good deeds the most. So we were really shocked by the generosity of them coming back with that feedback. So we created a second leaderboard of who's given the most karma credits out for doing nice things. So there's definitely ways to gamify it on competitions or leaderboards, or just a bunch of different ways. And incentives in games are good, especially if it's for good deeds.
Jack, why don't you talk about how credits out there? I think there's like.
Sorry, I must have lost you there. So
there's a limit how many credits exist, right?
That's right. Yeah. So we did this through an ERC 20 token, a cryptocurrency. So which is a fixed supply amount. So we're 1 million karma credits, and that we're divisible up to 18 decimal places. We hope to be we're a community of 300 people right now, and we hope to be maybe 1,000, 10,000, hopefully 100,000 in a few years. So lots of transactions, and they're divisible to up to 18 places. But really, whether you're earning 1,000th of a time credit or a 10,000th. It's really the good deeds that are being done that we're really excited about. And that's sort of is the point in the thing that really values is currency is backed by. So that's what we're sort of really excited about.
You need Tony Robbins to endorse you.
That'd be great. It's funny. I submitted a request to the Joe Rogan podcast that he had a person about a week ago that was talking about how it's weird how we don't have. He was talking about how neighbors being kind to each other, or he was talking about how the incentives are messed up. And I think I tweeted this out about a week ago, and he was talking about all these ideas of we need. I think he said we need to monetize kindness. That's sort of were his words. And so these ideas are out here. These ideas are. We'd love to. We follow Andrew Yang's Twitter, and he's amazing because he retweets and sort of likes comments on people in the Yang gang that have much less followers than him, but they're doing great things in the community. And our biggest way we've gotten to know people and grown is by following, his superstar Twitter account for however many followers he has, millions of followers. And we go to the people he retweeted and say that have done great things and reach out to them and say, you did a really kind thing. We'd like to reward you. And they get really excited and they tell their friends about it. So we've seen, contacting sort of famous people or kind of like big in community, including Andrew Yang and others, that we're excited about. But we're also, we're a grassroots community, right? So we've gone on a bunch of podcasts that are in the Yang gang that have like a few thousand followers, and we're really developing from grassroots level, person to person. I started with this with my family, my friends, and it's grown. It's an outreach of sort of a passive way to sort of grow it into community, and sort of the more community picks it up, the less I'm involved, the better. The people, the community is. It's not just me. It's not just me going out and advocating for this. It's people. Our community member Sherry, who went to our apartment building and told everyone about it. It's our community member Daniel Durant, who told us, carbon emissions reducing charity about us. Every single person is an advocate for it, and every single person is growing it. There's a lot of discussion of rent being canceled, or what are landlords going to do? What are people that are renting going to do? And you go to your landlord and maybe you say, I know you're paying rent right now. It's really tough. There's this new thing we found. It's called karma credits. You can sort of reward people by doing kind things. We went to our business owner and talked about this. We were shocked that she was so on board with the idea, so loved the idea, and wanted to offer to sell her products for it. There's really no limits to what our community can do and the voice they can have by doing it sort of in a trickle up way, in a grassroots way.
It's really fascinating. Are there any examples of poor people using karma credits to supplement their income right now in a significant way that might be helping them to survive?
That we would love to do that. We want to be able to provide that to people in need. Absolutely. We haven't exactly found people that are paying it. The realest transaction to help people we've had is just suggesting if you're really struggling right now, you need a gift for your sister, but you can't even pay rent. You can go to a community and say, hey, I would normally give a gift to my sister. I'll give 15 karma credits for a $15 gift for her. The going to a store and purchasing those items with the karma credits is the realest transaction we've had. But we'd love to go to landlords. We'd love to go to anyone, anyone with an open mind and say, this is a new currency. We'd love for you to accept it too, to help these people in need.
Right. I'm thinking most likely, there are a lot of people who have tons of money, but they're just bored with their money because they're so why don't you incentivize karma credits for them for helping out people like that? I don't know. It should be interesting.
So it's funny. We would love to do that in a big way. We're in talks with someone. We offered 30,000 karma credits for someone that donated, or volunteers that donated $30,000 of property, plant, and equipment to a hospital in the coronavirus crisis. We've offered, thousands of karma credits to people that are doing huge, great things. And so we would love to connect with someone that's doing really big things in the world and get them really excited on board and be able to do a lot of good through karma credits.
Okay, so I have a question. My family has been working collectively to create face masks. My cousin's sewing them, my aunt's giving them to the people at the old folks home, but my family's collecting spandex and stuff or elastic, whatever, to put inside the masks. So like they could all get karma credits.
Yes.
And if so, how, but do you start out with karma credits to give out?
So it's funny. We actually rewarded a woman that's in the Yang Gang who we're following, made and sent out, I think, over 200 masks to people in need. And we sent her, I think she made 207 masks to people in need. We sent her 207 karma credits. We would love to send everyone in your family karma credits that are helping to make those masks for people in need. And then that way you're doing good things for other people. And then you start out with karma credits. And then you're rewarded by coming up with your karma list of kind things that can be done to help your family as a reward for you doing good things. And it's really amazing. People that are earning these karma credits, they never even want to accept them, or they say, no, I just did it for, out of the goodness of our heart. And we're saying, yes, you did it out of the goodness of your heart, but it's okay to want to be rewarded and recognized, and we really want to do that. So we would love to send everyone in your family that's helping to make those masks for people karma credits for those.
Okay, cool. I mean,
yeah,
I
absolutely.
Guess, well, I've actually been actively trying to be a proof of concept. I went fully nomadic for a year, and I've been trying to get away from cash, which is really difficult in this society. Mm-hmm. But trade and barter, is fine. But skill sharing and essentially social credit is how I've been surviving this whole time. And I've been looking for something like what you have, so that's why I'm like, woo.
Totally. I remember we started this and got on our Twitter accounts, and we talked about one of our first community members, Heidi Briones. She's running for Congress in Oregon in the Yang Gang, and she was like, "Is this like time banking?" And I said, I thought to myself, I never heard of that. I'm going to look it up, and then I looked it up, and I was like, "Yep, this is exactly time banking and social services." But think that's social credits and skill sharing with instant cryptocurrency transfer. So it's like a tangible thing that you can, but it's essentially, you're right. It is essentially skill sharing, but with this, essentially made up token that's in your phone, and then it's a measurable thing. So it just makes it way easier to people to skill share. That's sort of what we do: time sharing or time banking, skill sharing, but mixed with instant cryptocurrency transfer.
The more people who are doing it, the stronger the value of the credit, right? Basically.
Yeah, exactly. We're really valued in the strength of our community. We rely on our community and the growth of our community, and that's why we really encourage people to retweet us, like us, help grow our community of people doing the kind things. But because at the end of the day, it's going to be exponentially more good deeds that are being done because of the creation of a cryptocurrency that we invented, because of the growth in the community. And so that's definitely a reason why we help reward those people that are helping spreading the word.
So I think something that confuses a lot of people is the difference between cryptocurrency and token.
Totally.
Want to go into that a little bit?
So a token is a form of a cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is definitely an umbrella term. There are sort of coins, which are publicly exchanged and publicly traded sort of dollar value items that you can invest in for speculation. And there are called tokens, utility tokens is the sort of jargon for that you earn by doing certain things. Certain companies come out with utility tokens to reward people. So let's say for reviewing their movies, or for working out with their equipment, or for safe driving. And we had the idea of, why don't we just have a token that rewards people for doing any kind thing? So that's sort of the difference between the coin, which is exchanged on a public exchange, and our token, which is a grassroots by doing kind things.
So your token karma credits cannot exchange for cash.
So we have no plans. We're not on any public dollar exchange. We have no plans to do so. You in theory could say, I'll Venmo you $10 for your 10 karma credits. That's completely out of our control. If you wanted to do that, throughout this process, we've learned that people can put it on exchanges without our knowledge. It would be very complicated to do so, and it would be very unlikely for that to happen. But we don't plan to do on any sort of public dollar exchange. So it's centered around the idea of doing kind things, and that's how we're rewarding people. And we're actually rewarding people with more karma credits for using it for. So Daniel Durant, every time he goes on and offers karma credits for doing kind things like helping that organization with climate change, or Caesar with calling people about UBI, representatives about UBI, we match that. So we incentivize by change the incentives of people using it for kind things. And that's sort of, and I don't think we've seen any person try to sell it. And but we certainly haven't done so and don't plan to.
You ever think about creating like an in-house store or maybe partnering with some philanthropist to do that?
We want to create allies. Listen. I'm no cryptocurrency expert. I'm no web design expert. I'm no sort of expert. We would love to partner with anyone and everyone that's willing to partner with us. We're actually talking with this news reporter's son, who 7th grader, who came up with the idea of a website for helping people showing people do kind things, and we're in talks with collaborating them on a project. Him and his son. So we are open to any sort of project and collaboration that will help people do kind things. Again, we're not competing with anybody. We're collaborating with everybody. We want to hear everyone's voices about how we can make our community better and how we want to hear experts' opinion on everything. So that's sort of the way we're approaching it, and we're looking for help everywhere.
You and I need to talk after this, by the way.
That sounds great.
I think mentally it's good because I mean so many stories about like money can be related to like greed and just like all these business practices, but like let's shed some light on the good stuff instead of always getting frustrated about the bad stuff. It's
again,
like,
people think money is the root of all evil. People think that, and sometimes it is. Sometimes people do bad things and are greedy, and people think no good deeds unpunished, and they become cynical. We're trying to flip that on its head and saying once you've earned karma credits, this is a symbol to the world at large that you've done something kind for somebody else. And so that sort of helps you recognize that not only we're going to reverse and say no good deed can go unrewarded, and saying that just like Andrew Yang said of we're going to flip the rules of the economy. Why should the economy just measure what was spent on GDP? That doesn't recognize the person that's helping an elderly person across the street or taking care of their sick mental health person in need. We're going to flip that on its head and reinvent the society with a bottoms up approach and a trickle up approach where we're going to change the society for the better.
Right, and there's there's the thing where like, oh, like if you're not humble and if you take credit for the good thing you did, then that really means that you just did it for like the recognition. It's like no, maybe time to recognize people for being decent human beings, because we only seem to recognize them for sometimes for infamy. Why not? Why not? Why not have that indicator that, hey, this is a decent human being that's not going to stab you in the back? It's like, totally. Oh, I like that, No,
it's totally silly, the people that say, oh, you should have gone and taken care of those people and not told anyone. Well, let me tell you this. When Caesar delivered those food to those people in need, and he posted it on Twitter for thousands of followers and got retweeted by Andrew Yang, increased his followership. Sure, was that beneficial to him? Sure, but by and large, it's beneficial to everyone involved, including us, because we wouldn't have known about him if not for that. People that are spreading the word about people, doing good things, or them doing good things, and we're basing the idea of the like whatever your motivation is, if you're doing it to earn karma credits, to get karma credits, or just to do a kind thing or if you're a religious and want to do it to go into heaven, or if you want any reason you can imagine, it doesn't matter, because you're doing the kind thing. As long as the kind thing is being done, that's all that matters. As long as someone is being helped, that's really what matters. And we're trying to help put in the mindset. It's really just a way of thinking, really kind of like helping people rethink how they view a currency, in the sense that we're going to help people, incentivize people to do kind things, and that's doesn't and in no sense would that be a bad thing? Impunity. Go ahead, please.
Oh, well, okay. So I'm just going to use my family as an example. So like my grandpa is one of the most like giving people that I know, so much community service kind of thing, but he doesn't like that. Like I do a lot of community service, but I don't have a job, and like, because there's no metric of measurement. And I think if like there was a metric of measurement for the good that we do that we could actually exchange, exactly. Like I think that would transform the way he views what I do,
Totally.
And I think it's necessary for people to switch that mindset, and I think this is a great tool to make that happen.
Yes, at the end of the day, we're a tool to help these community members and service members get recognized, and be able to trade with each other for goods and services. So if you're a community member and we recognize the great community service you're doing, we'll start you by rewarding you for doing kind things for the people. But then the people in your community can earn from you, or they can earn from us by doing good things. And then when you have a problem, when your light breaks, for example, you can offer someone in the community to help come fix your light. And that's a service being done with you that you didn't have to call an electrician for and dip into your dollar savings, which you do community service for, out of the goodness of your heart, because you've earned karma credits that you can recognize that can help you out because you've helped other people out. And so that's sort of the idea: is rewarding that community service is all overdue in our society, as Andrew Yang talked about in his campaign. And it's much needed, and we're a vessel to do so. We may be a cryptocurrency and kind of sound complicated, but we're really just a tool for people to do good things and be rewarded and recognized, and also be able to live off of that.
I'm just excited that you are doing this, and if you need help finding other podcasts to get on, this is a great platform to connect with people. Just saying. Yeah, I think everyone needs to know about these. Thank you.
Sure.
Really fascinating concept. I would love it if people could make a living with this alternative economy. And I keep thinking, like, how could more goods and services, more mainstream sort of in survival, like goods and services, be made available with this currency? And I keep going back to like partnering with like coalitions of maybe small vendors, or maybe one large vendor from a philanthropic vector, if you can approach it that way from like a legal company construction standpoint, if you know what I'm saying. Like
totally.
It's all complicated, but yeah, it's
Listen,
like I just
we love that idea. We take every idea we want to work. We love to talk to you about a vendor list you think could be good, small or large. We've had people come up with the ideas of partnering with corporations and their social responsibility campaigns, but we love to work with any philanthropies that had the idea. We've got, right now we're at one business. We want to definitely, we all advocate, so we're happy to team up with you to team up with those philanthropies.
I wonder if like eBay or something might be convinced to do something like this.
Shoot for the stars. I love it.
Yeah, kind of. My idea was that like any kind of like rich person to undo that myth that like money makes people like right, greedy and cruel. They can be a karma credit to money exchange. They can just set their own thing. Just a filthy rich guy going like, oh, okay, this is the price I'm putting on your karma credits, and this is what I'm willing to give you. And that's that.
What might be like super helpful is if you could get a really clever lawyer to sort of write a scheme that lets people, lets mainstream regular vendors get a big tax write-off by using karma credits.
Yeah, that would be really exciting. I think one of the things that rich people do all the time is donate to charity. So they donate, tens of thousands of dollars to charity. So we go to a rich person and say, "Hey, you donated tens of thousands of dollars to charity. We really appreciate it." But I myself am a cancer survivor, so I offer $1. Every dollar you donate to a cancer charity, I will send out one karma credit. So a rich person donates $25,000 to cancer charities. I say, I would love that. I would love to send you 25,000 karma credits. And that helps them because they've donated to charity, but they've also gained a credit that they can use. So it's sort of essentially is like buying the credits, but they're donating to a charity that I'm passionate about, and then they can use their networks and use whatever platform they have to tell people about karma credits and how people can earn it from them. And that's sort of like it's the greatness of the advocates in our community, because the voice helps people recognize the karma credits and as a way to increase good deeds and sort of the value of them without sort of advocating and telling people about it is zero, because if no one's going to do anything to earn the karma credits from you or do kind things for other people, they don't know really the mechanisms behind it. They're kind of useless. But if you kind of like advocate, and we have people on platforms talking about it, and I earned $25,000 karma credits for donating $25,000 to cancer charities, and this is what you can do with them. That can be a really great thing.
Imagine a scenario like this. Like eBay has a program where it will allow individual eBay sellers to take karma credits, and then it will refund them in US dollars, and then eBay gets a tax write-off for every karma credit. Could that kind of legal scenario be created?
Well, we'd have to talk to the IRS about the tax write-off, but maybe one day. I think that's possible. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. People could give karma credits to the like some random rich and get the money for the grocery that or something.
You're
Like
cutting out there, Ariel. You sound really muffled.
Oh,
Are you covering your
sorry.
microphone?
Oh, okay. What about now? Is it better?
Yep.
Okay, I may have my thumb on it. I said maybe like a person who's struggling with like regular bills could give their karma credits to some rich person who's in on it, and then that rich person would have the karma credits, and
Yep.
then that person would have grocery money or money for rent or all sorts of
Exactly.
things.
You say I'll offer certain number of karma credits for you to pay my bills or donate money for me to buy groceries this week, and that person not only donated money and helped that person in need, but also got karma credits as a reward for that. So it's an incentive that's driving good behavior.
Right.
And if we could make karma credits just kind of tax deductible across the board somehow, that would be just a revolution, because then people could just go ahead and do that.
Totally. It's amazing. When sort of the tax reform hit, the Trump tax cuts sort of in 2017, one of the things it did that not a lot of people know about is when they doubled the standard deduction, they kind of like a little bit disincentivized charitable giving, because you have to to recognize your deduction for charitable giving, you have to have it be greater than the standard deduction. And I didn't think that was going to make a big difference at all, but we've seen in the past couple of years a lot of charitable giving go down because there was a hidden incentive there. There was a tax write-off. So the idea that even in the tax code where they incentivize different things, they incentivize charitable giving to an extent. They incentivize people being helped with medical expenses. You can deduct your medical expenses. So incentives really drive behavior, and we can help make it for kind things.
Now, with a fixed amount of karma credits you can have, at some point you're no longer going to be in charge of who gets how many credits, right?
Totally. So I'm the sort of the less involved I am, the better, because I'm sort of offering 30,000 karma credits for this $30,000 PPE donated to the hospital. We offered about 100,000 karma credits for an organization that raised $120,000 for similar organizations. Or we trust our community completely. We're backed by the goodness of humanity, and part of that goodness is trust. And when we sort of distribute this all out and decentralize and have it be amongst the community, that's the goal. The goal is that everyone has earned karma credits and everyone is exchanging with them, and there no longer needs to be any created or distributed out because everyone is earning them from other people. You have 5,000 karma credits that you've earned, and then someone will come up to you and be doing not a lot of nice things for you, where they earn them from you, and then you say, okay, I want to earn karma credits back, so you help other people by doing community service or kind of things for other people. So the goal is to get it all out in a community-based grassroots level among people that like the idea and want to do good kind things for others, and they are all exchanged, decentralized. People can come up with their own rates and kind things, and it's sort of a free-flowing social currency economy.
So so there's obviously going to be a transitionary period. I think this might blow up much bigger than we're talking like it's going to grow huge, and I believe that. But what about like the people we know that in the past have done lots of amazing deeds? Like, is there a backlog does that make sense? Like, could we retro?
It's a great question. When we come up with this, we're doing it on a going forward basis, just because it's hard to exactly go back and fulfill. I mean, the community has been really great, and it's hard to fill exactly everyone's sort of amazing things that they've done. So we're rewarding good deeds that we're sort of, the idea is we're trying to encourage good deeds being done. And listen, we'd be open to that. We certainly have offered. Someone planted 300,000 trees in Africa last year. The charity in Africa was telling us about, and so we offered them. Yeah, we'd love to make an exception and offer 300,000 karma credits to this person if they would love to be part of our community and help people and sort of. And so there's definitely exceptions we can make, but we're sort of on a going forward basis right now. But we're definitely open to anything. So this is not just up to me. It's sort of the idea, and behind it is sort of our whole community. You know, Andrew Yang wasn't the first person to come up with universal basic income. You know, there's Martin Luther King, there's Thomas Paine. The idea is everyone can have a voice and everyone can have any ideas about how we want to do it.
That is beautiful. It sounds like you are a company that will evolve as people evolve instead
Definitely.
of being so narrow.
For sure.
Good.
We've learned tons of things from our community members that we had no idea when we started.
Right.
And we've been better for it. And I'm sorry, I think I cut someone off.
Oh, it's okay. I just want to say, and I just think that people are just sick and tired of feeling miserable, of like seeing bad news, of like, you know, like give people something to like feel good about. And that's it's like that's all they'll need from now, because like we're just being inundated with so much, you know, stuff that goes like, oh no, not this again, not that again. And then this can change the tide to like, oh cool, oh that's awesome, oh nice, you know. Just want to say that.
On a neurological level, though, it will release dopamine for doing the kind activity, but also reward the achievement, you know, like, ooh, that felt good, you know, and getting a reward is like release of dopamine as well. So, I mean, it encourages itself and encourages creativity on how you earn that as well, instead of being like, oh, you got to sign up for this 9-to-5 job to earn currency.
Exactly. You know, who said it had to be cash? Who said we had to just go to work from 9 to 5 to earn the currency? Why don't we just do kind things for other people and earn that way? It's the creativity in our community is endless, and the imagination and the kind things that we can do for each other.
Just like uncouple it from like, you know, incentives that are boring, and it's like, hey, I mean, America is the land of the free. We're free to use whatever currency we want for like whatever things we want to exchange for it. You know.
Totally. Yeah, it's sort of breaking the idea out of and being creative about freedom. Exactly. It's you know, people are definitely allowed to exchange services for each other, but people don't do so. Sort of bringing a new way of thinking about the currency and how it can benefit society. That's sort of our whole idea.
Like I always wanted to like be a helicopter pilot, and there's this guy on YouTube who like does something like that, and he films like these awesome helicopter rides for just like everyone to watch for free. So I wonder, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe I can like do something where I'm like, hey, why don't you like offer rides to people because you're going to do it anyway for like karma credits? That would be so cool.
Definitely. There's definitely a lot of different ways you can do it, and you know, it's giving something for free is just a kind thing to do for anybody, and we want to help offset that and reward people for that.
It gives people choice, and it also, you know, like value is more of a loose term at this point, like adding value to someone's life instead of, you know, so narrow with currency called cash that
right,
it seems difficult to obtain.
And different value is based on your perception. You know, there's some jobs that I view as like, when I work the job, it's like I feel like I should like pay to be working a job that I really like, because it's like I wouldn't mind, but other jobs I'm like, oh, this is making me feel miserable and unhappy and stuff like that. So it's all everything is just all like perception. But I think like when we look at one thing, it as just like one thing, it kind of muddies the waters. So when you offer choices to people, that's awesome.
Also, the validation from companies coming out into paychecks that feel disrespectful, you know, you feel underpaid or whatever. Like we get shown validation through our paycheck in a sense, but I mean, if you're getting validated by all these people in your life, and you actually get to experience the joy of that value, like the validation is stronger and more authentic.
Yeah, I think validation in just in any form is helpful for people. I myself sort of one of my love languages I talk to my girlfriend about is like words of affirmation. So if people say kind things to me, that really means a lot to me. So sometimes I'm just feeling down, and I just say, I'll offer karma credits to someone, just say something nice, or maybe look at my Twitter feed to just say something nice to me. And it's been an outpouring of people just saying kind things, and I'll reward them with karma credits, and I just feel really good for the rest of the day. And so it just can come up with the imagination we can come up with as far as what, depending on the person, what they want to help feel validated or help feel important is really it's really important.
Wondering, have you hooked up with any UBI caucus members and offered a consistent denomination of karma credits, like right from the source, to phone bank or do other work for them?
The biggest one we've offered for is to call your representative, U.S. Congress representative, about UBI. We've offered 10 karma credits per call. I think we give out like 30 or 40 karma credits to the 3 or 4 people that did that otherwise wouldn't have. We've offered Heidi Briones, in addition to the kind of things she's done just in the community. Just if she wanted us to donate karma credits to her campaign, we've offered that. Or to help to phone bank, we've offered karma credits to help her phone bank if she wants to offer any of those with us. It's definitely possible. So we're definitely open to that.
Have you ever talked to Dan Larson? He's another UBI caucus member. He's a Republican in Montana, and to my knowledge, he's the only Republican in the UBI caucus, so I think he's particularly important.
I have not talked to Dan Larson, but I'd love to talk to him or be connected with him.
Yeah, I mean, he's been on the show a few times. He's really fascinating to talk to. I'd love to get you both on together to talk. Maybe you can work out something where you can help his campaign, because if he can make headway in the Republican Party with the idea of UBI, that would really be a sea change.
That sounds great.
David Kim too, right? David Kim?
Yeah, but David Kim is a Democrat. The UBI caucus, everyone in it is very important. But what's unique about Dan is he's the only Republican, and he has a tremendous potential because of it.
Yeah, and one of the things that, just like the Andrew Yang's campaign, we're sort of definitely a Big Tent organization. We want to help reach out to all people. I think we're talking to the Trumper for Yang Twitter account handler to talk about an interview on a podcast with them. We want to sort of reach out to all kinds of people doing kind things, and we'd love to talk to the Republican that joined the UBI caucus, and just reach out to anyone that's doing good work.
So the next thing, I guess, on the way is just like getting the word out, just making it bigger and bigger. We start out small, but then like, how do we get in contact with like some big influencers, and then we can like go from there.
So it sounds like we just need a strategy meeting is all I'm hearing.
Exactly.
I don't think it's impossible. I think we know enough people in the Yang Gang all across the U.S. in every state. I think, if we just network with our own circles and combine them and influence each of our own social circles, I think that alone is going to spread this like wildfire.
I just put Dan Larson's Twitter in the chat. And I also sent it to you in a private message, karma credits.
Perfect.
So have it, yeah.
And
so
Shael,
yeah, definitely.
Think
it's kind of a time delay strategy meeting all the time,
Right. It's very important that we expose Dan Larson to all the other Democratic UBI candidates for them to speak, so we can totally just shatter the thing where like, Republicans and Democrats are always in a war and they can never get along. To just have like Dan Larson with David Kim, Dan Larson with like Lucci Gayo, Dan Larson with like all these other Democrats, but that like it's all civil and it's all like, yeah, let's just fix the problems. So yeah.
It's definitely good to be Big Tent, and we're working with that influencer that is like a news reporter that has I think like 30 or 40,000 followers. About working with the summit on partnering up. We've had a few influencers like 40 or 50,000 followers that are retweeted by Yang or know Yang that have liked or commented on our tweets. We definitely we reach out. Just eventually, hopefully, Andrew Yang will notice us. But and then there's just there's endless ways to within the Yang Gang network we've been helped by, and I mean reaching out to you guys is a big step. So you guys are definitely influencers too. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. We try to make connections here. We just try to get people together. So I'm really glad you could come on, and love to have you on again anytime. We do a number of differently formal events, and this is a very informal session. So thank you for just coming on, spitballing with us. It's really great to meet you.
Absolutely.
All right,
yeah, thank you very much, Jack. Very
Absolutely.
nice.
I know
Yeah.
Elizabeth has to go to her D&D game. I know we're coming up on 5 o'clock. We got a big group. Does
No
everybody
worries.
just want to
Yeah.
say?
This has been great.
Does everybody just want to say goodbye?
Like the hi.
Well,
Do you want us to do our Twitter handles and stuff again?
I know. I think Zach had said he had something he wanted to talk about. If I've got that right. Who?
Yeah, I just talk shop.
Sure,
We're
go
done.
on. We got about 10 minutes.
Okay, we're done with Craig and everything.
No. I can get Craig off the podcast if you want to just have like a like a little meeting. Sure. I will. I'll stop the stream. All right.
It was great to meet you all.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice talking.
Good to meet you too.
I'll get off so you guys can talk shop, but I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and just talk to you guys. You guys are all really great people, and I so appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for talking to us again.
Oh, thanks for giving us some of your time, and we hope to see you again soon, Jack.
All right,
Take
see
care.
you soon. All right, bye-bye.
Right. And thank you for listening. We will see you again soon.